Happy Sunday to ya. Happy Sunday to ya. Happy Sunday, happy Sunday to ya. Happy Sunday to ya. Happy Sunday. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second week of Sundays with Sand, our weekly devotional. We want to get your week started off right with doing our devotional today. And I want you to remember that you should still do your devotional throughout the week, but I'll just be coming to you once a week on Sunday mornings. So I appreciate you taking your time to log on and listen to what God has to say to us today. We're excited about the message, and I hope you are as well. And as you come in, I want you to like the channel, I want you to subscribe, and I want you to share it with others. But remember to subscribe because we do want to grow our channel. So this week, we're going to be looking at day 2 and day 3 because the two lessons are intertwined. They're really closely related. So I thought that it would be good to just do both of those days together. So what I'll do is go from my book that I've written, which is Be Still and Talk with God Daily. It's a daily devotional, a 30-day devotion, Be Still and Talk with God Daily. And the prayer journal, Be Still Daily Prayer Journal. And this will give you somewhere to document the things that God talks to you about as you're reading the devotional. If you don't have the devotional and the prayer journal already, you may go on Amazon and order your copy, and then you can follow along with us in the devotional as we go through the daily devotions every week. So like I said, this week we're going to go from day 2 and 3, and I will be looking to the side because I'm trying to either read from the book or read from the notes to just make sure that I don't miss any of the points that I want to share with you. On day 2, the scripture, the name of that lesson is God's plan. And by the 7th day, God completed his work which he had done. And he rested, he ceased on the 7th day from all his work which he had done. And that's taken from Genesis 2:2, the Amplified Version. The scripture for day 3, and that lesson is entitled Rest Margins. As we enter into God's faith rest life, we cease from our own works, just as God celebrates his finished works and rests in them. And that's Hebrews 4:10 from the Passion Translation. So even these two verses, one from the Old Testament talks about God resting when he completed his work. And then in the New Testament, this verse tells us that we should enter into God's faith rest life and cease from our works, just like God ceased from his work. So he was setting an example for us. And as we look at these lessons, I'm going to just pretty much summarize both lessons instead of going into each one individually. So we're going to take a look at how God worked his plan. And he thought about everything that he needed to create, and he decided the order that he was going to go in. So now you look at day 1 was light, day 2, atmosphere and firmament, day 3, dry ground and plants, day 4, the sun, moon, and stars. And I was thinking, I said, you know what, God could have said, all right, I'm at day 4, I've already created all this, and maybe I should just go ahead and create man now, and then he can help me. He can just make himself useful and help me finish creating everything I need to create. And God said, nah, I don't need to do that. Let me just finish this myself. So he went on to finish everything day 5 and day 6. And, After God created everything, he created man last. And on the seventh day, what did he do? Who can tell me? Who can answer what was the first thing that God did? Well, if you said rest, then you were absolutely correct. After he finished making everything, he said that he needed to rest. And guess what? God intended for the Sabbath to be a lifestyle. That's why he was teaching us by example, even before he taught it in principle. He wanted us to have a Sabbath day. He wanted us to have a margin, to set a margin, and to set boundaries. Rest is a gift from God. And he tells us in Matthew 11:28, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." The Passion Translation says, "Are you weary? Are you carrying a heavy burden? Come to me. I will refresh your life, for I am your oasis." And when I think about oasis, just think about a desert where it's really dry and barren. And if you had like this place right in the middle with a refreshing waterfall and just a big lake of water, and it would just be a refreshing oasis in the middle of the desert. And I just imagine that God is saying, I am that oasis that's going to refresh you. So as an oasis, God is a calm and pleasant place in the middle of your busy life. Verse 29 goes on to say that he gives rest for our souls. He wants our minds and our emotions to rest also. And there's a difference between sleep and rest. If your mind is not settled, if you're anxious, if you're worried, you can sleep and still not rest. How many have slept 7 to 8 hours and got up feeling like you've been run over by a Mack truck? Has that ever happened to anybody before? So we have to invite God into our situation so we can settle down, so we can feel the rest that he needs us to feel. Because we want to actually not just sleep, we want to rest. So we want to just call in God and be able to just experience that oasis and that refreshing that he brings into our lives when we include him into our situations. When we think about our rest day, we shouldn't think of it from a negative standpoint as like we're being forced to stop doing something. But we should see it as an opportunity for things to happen because we are in a state of tranquility and we're in a state of peace. And setting margins can be very powerful because setting margins can create opportunities. Now, business margins create profits. Think about Chick-fil-A, and they set a margin because they're closed on Sunday. There are a lot of places similar to Chick-fil-A that stay open every day, 24 hours a day. But Chick-fil-A has set a margin. And I did a little bit of research on them, and in 2021, their net revenue was $5.8 billion, not million, $1 billion. So that's a lot of revenue. And they have a margin set, and they're still making that much revenue. Margins in our lives create opportunities to pursue dreams, to think, to pray, to relax, to meditate, to grow, and just to live life more fully. How many of us are so cuffed to being busy that we don't practice margins? How many of us don't realize that no is a complete sentence. How many feel like you just can't say no to anybody? A lot of times you don't want to say yes, or you know that you already have too much on your plate and you just cannot do one more thing, and somebody comes along and you just don't feel comfortable and you say yes, and then you go, oh man, why did I say yes? I know I don't have enough time to do that. Then you're running around stressed out trying to add on this additional thing that you said yes to. Honey, say no and be done with it. You can say no. It's okay. It is okay to tell someone no, and we don't have to feel guilty about it. What are we still doing that God has told us to rest from? That may be why the business that we're trying to do is not working. Maybe God told you to give it a rest for right now. That might be why that relationship is just not working out. Something is just off. And maybe God has been showing you signs. He's been giving you red flags, but you just been ignoring them. You just don't want to listen because that's what you want to do. So, sometimes we do that. God will tell us things, and when it's not the answer that we want, or if he's telling us something different than the way we think it is, we'll just say, oh, that's probably the devil. He's just trying to mess up things, instead of listening to what God is telling you. And sometimes we're busy doing things, and God is telling us to rest, and we're not listening. We just keep going and going. And then sometimes it'll get to the point where it wasn't our idea to rest, but our bodies say, shut it down. And then we're laid out sick because, our bodies are just worn out. So we do need to listen. We do need to make sure that we rest. So when we continue with constant activity, it leads to captivity. And this is not a physical captivity, but it could be a captivity to anxiety, to depression, to struggle, and sometimes even suicidal thoughts. And we really don't want to get to that point. A lack of rest can also result in pain, sickness, and injury. Let's free ourselves today and make sure that we get the rest that we need. In Genesis 2:3, God blessed the seventh day. Now think about that. He blessed the seventh day. The only day of creation that God blessed was the rest day, the day of rest. Think about it. Is your blessed life connected to your rested life? Is God saying, I cannot bless because you won't be still and rest? Are you booked and busy? Are you cuffed to being busy? God said, I will teach the pattern of rest, and then I will bless. So what are some of the things that you should be resting from? Okay, you don't have to tell me, but just think about it. Maybe you should write them down and just think about all the things that you're doing that you need to rest from. And then you can just do an assessment and figure out what you can do to make some changes. Rest is a gift from God that does not have to be earned. We may think that we need to work, and then we can rest. Did God tell us to do that? Y'all tell me when he told us to do that. We do need to work, but we need to work from a rested position. Truth be told, we are truly not our best when we're tired. We don't make good decisions, and we just don't function well. At least I know I don't function well when I'm tired, and I can see the results of it. So it's better to just go ahead and go to bed and get up the next day and start all over again. So I've learned that over time, because when I just stay up and struggle to do whatever it is I'm doing, I'm not productive. I'm really not. I've stayed up all that extra time, but I still didn't accomplish what I needed to because I was too tired to focus. So it's better to just go on and get some rest and get up and start it the next day. So, in order to rest, we have to trust God through the process and know that while we are resting, He's got our back and all is well. Rest is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Rest produces revival and it allows us to be able to do what God has called us to do. The Passion Version of Hebrews 4, 9, and 10 states, "So we conclude that there is a full and complete Sabbath rest waiting for believers to experience." And I've read that to you earlier as the verse for day 3. As we enter into God's faith rest life, we cease from our own works, just as God celebrates His finished works and rests in them. Let us all think about what it is we need to take a rest from and when we would take the rest in order for us to be in line with the lifestyle that God intended for us to live. When we look at the word rest, R-E-S-T, R, remain, to stay, to continue. E for ease, freedom from labor or difficulty, relief from obligation. S, set, to fix or decide on as a time, a limit. And T, time, the point or period when something occurs, the duration. So we're going to remain at ease for a set time. Remain at ease for a set time. We're going to rest. So let us just think about what we've discussed today, how we need to set margins in our lives, how we need to have a boundary, and just take that time to rest, just like God did. He gave us an example, and He said, this is how you do it. I want you to rest. And everybody's rest day may not be the same day, but you just pick which day will be your rest day. And it's all good. I just thank you for joining in with me today for this devotional. And I hope that you have a blessed week. And let's end our day as we will do every day. Repeat after me. I am one and only one. I can't do all things, but I can do some things. That I can do, I ought to do. And by the grace of God, I will do. Remember to subscribe and have a blessed week.